Well, earlier we heard about China's strong reaction to U.S. actions in Venezuela. India, though, has been very restrained. The External Affairs Ministry says the developments are a concern and that they are closely monitoring the situation. Let's get to Syed Akbaruddin, Dean at the Kautilya School of Public Policy and former Indian permanent representative to the United Nations. Syed, good to have you with us. Why the muted reaction from India?
Well, Haslinda, the world is an uncertain place. The U.S. has been changing its rationale. India has a stake in global geopolitical events, but by and large, Venezuela is out of its ambit. So given the diversity of rationales that the U.S. has provided, uncertainty that is surrounding the events in Venezuela, India generally takes a cautious view. If I were to divide the global South views, I would say there are those who put norms first, there are those who hedge the norms, and then there are some who are supportive of the exceptionalism of the US. India would fall in the middle category of hedging the norms. So it expresses deep concern, but it doesn't go further because it's still unclear what is the US rationale for all this. Does it want a change in regime? Does it attribute it to narco-terrorism? Does it think that there is a change of regime on account of criminality, transboundary criminality? Does it want oil? Does it want a Trump corollary? So there are multiple things that have been told. Watching from afar, India has taken a cautious approach. This is an approach it always takes in issues involving multiple interests. India has interests in Venezuela, but it also has interests with the US. So it's looking at all factors and watching to see how this evolves.
However you put it, though, Mr. Akbaruddin, Venezuela is a sovereign nation, and India has always emphasized strategic autonomy. How does it defend its position when it wants to lead the global South?
I think it's a fair point and a good question to ask. The global South is a diverse group. There are many other countries of the global South who've adopted a similar position. So look at what Indonesia has said. Look at what Philippines has said. Look at what Thailand has said. So there are countries in the global South who are hedging. And I would call hedging of norms doesn't mean a total abdication of norms. It means the very fact that you say that it's deeply concerned already is a clear indication of where its views lie. Hopefully, as things unveil, it will come out with a more granular observation on this rather than jumping to conclusions. You're right that norms have been infringed by all accounts in this, but there are other areas for a country like India to look at and hedge. It did the same initially with the Russian intervention in Ukraine. It's done this similarly previously, and that's par for the course as far as India is concerned, because it does always a hedging approach to global norms. It's a neo-realistic part. It understands that, yes, norms are important, but it also recognizes that the great powers have often got away with the way they think, the way they act. So it's a midway path. I wouldn't say that it's totally different from other countries of the global South. It hasn't. In fact, if you look at the global South, even countries who've criticized the violation of international law, the undermining of national sovereignty, haven't in some way supported the former President Maduro. So
right.
There are gradations in this, and we need to look at that gradations depending on the interests of those countries.
Would you say that it highlights the limits of India's foreign policy independence, especially against the backdrop of a country that's trying to negotiate a trade deal with the U.S.?
So interests are always taken into account, and you're right that India is the country which has stood up and is now paying the price in terms of the reciprocal tariffs, unlike other countries who are now vociferous but haven't paid that price. So obviously it will be a little bit more cautious than other countries, but I think you need to look at it in a broader perspective, because it's not very dissimilar to how the Indian foreign establishment approached the events in Ukraine. At that time, it was criticized for not being vocal enough. Later on, it was seen as being for peace. So, I mean, I think there is a historical thread in that which is common, that in cases of these interventions, when things are not clear, India hedges. So it's hedging its normative approach.
Mr. Akbaruddin, you were India's representative to the United Nations. Is the UN still relevant? I mean, its credibility has been damaged tremendously.
So you're true that the UN has been damaged. It's primarily because the world of 2026 is very different from the world of 1945. And the UN needs structural rearrangements or structural reform. And that's not likely because nobody gives up authority easily. That said, we always will need a body that people can convene and express their views. Some people call it the sacred drama. That is, it's dramatic, people talk about it, but it also provides a opportunity to vent your grievances. And therefore, if we didn't have a UN, we would perhaps have to invent it. And the UN, as it's many times said, is not something that can lead you to heaven, but it keeps you from descending into hell. So it's a body which is like all bodies with frailties. It's the best we have. We have to make do with it and try and reform it rather than do away with it.
The thing is, there's no point in having a body if it doesn't serve any function. I'm just wondering about your thoughts on the unilateral action taken by the U.S. It's already talked about possibly Greenland as well as Cuba. What could the UN or other institutions, international organizations do to prevent a reoccurrence of such an action?
So, Haslinda, the UN was not created to stop big power interventions against smaller powers. The UN, as its original role, was to prevent big powers from fighting among themselves. For example, the US versus Russia, Russia versus China, China versus US, etc. That was the big goal. That it has somehow meandered through and worked its way through. It's not going to stop big power interventions because it's a default option in the UN that the big powers have a veto. And the idea being that you corner a big power, it will lead to a world war. And therefore, perhaps it looks aside when big powers intervene, but ensures that big powers don't get into a fight among themselves. So it's a body that looks at secondary level issues, not top level issues. And we have to make do with it as it is.
And what do smaller powers do? What do smaller nations do? They want a multilateral global order. What should they be doing now?
So you're right. The big shield for small countries or middle powers is to have a norms-based global order. And that's why you see the willingness of several small countries. For example, Singapore, Malaysia, many others, even in Latin America, Colombia, the present president of Chile, they all have come out with a norms-first approach. That is the hope that it will confer legitimacy, or it will never confer legitimacy on what is an infringement of international law. But for 2,000 years, we've known that the strong do what they can, the weak live with what they must. And that's the basis of the international order, because international law is a limited issue. It hasn't evolved as yet to counter big powers.